What's going on, Predators? It's Travis with the Apex Predator Outdoors. We're going to do another app review here. Today we're going to be reviewing the OnX Hunt maps. This is a really good app for when you're walking out in the field and kind of tracking and things like that. You noticed last week or a couple weeks ago I did a video about HuntStand, which is another hunting app, a mapping app. They have kind of different purposes, I think, a little bit, or different uses that you're going to see in the field. So personally what I've been doing is I use the HuntStand app more for land management, scouting ahead of time and things like that due to certain map features that it has that aren't available with OnX. But with the feature that OnX allows you to download maps before you take it into the field, that's a very helpful feature. Then that's probably one of the things I like best about OnX maps. So we're going to go here and do a real quick overview of the whole app and all the different options that we have. Once we're done with that, then we're going to go back and we're going to do some talks about the pros and the cons of this, especially in relation to HuntStand, which is one of the most most prolifically used hunting apps for maps. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is just open the app here. Got a little splash screen. Okay, so this little three-dot tab is where it shows my personal account information. It shows the ability to upgrade, so if I want to choose the different versions of the map or the app, this is where I do it. I got my map settings, which just allows me to set my units and things like that. And then I can share with friends, obviously, which is advertising for them free. Then I get an inbox, which is just like little messages from the app creators about different features that you've got and things like that. At the top here, I've also got this, which is basically the Go Elite version of the maps. There are two options as far as pricing on this. Okay, if I go to upgrade, we can see. So basically, I've got there's two options. There's the $14.99 a month or $99 a year for the Elite membership. That's the highest end one. So it's basically $100 a year or $14.99 a month for the high end one. The cheaper subscription is $24 a year, and that only comes with information and maps and things like that for one state. Okay, which is not bad. Going back over here, first thing we're going to look at is the buttons and the access we have here from the main map. So whenever I first open the app, you can see I can zoom in, pinch to zoom. The map that I'm looking at here is a satellite map, okay? So this is just the satellite map. It seems to already have roads and everything laid on it, so it's more of like a hybrid map of what we would see from HuntStand. We would call it a hybrid map, which is a satellite plus the Google Street information, okay? If I tap the satellite button here, then it changes to hybrid, okay? And you can see now it's actually that satellite with the Google Street information, and it's got a topographical map laid over the top of it. Okay, I can touch it one more time, and so now it just goes to a straight topographical map. And lastly, I touch it one more time, we're back to the satellite. All right. This is my preferred view. Most of the time I'm hunting here in Texas, and the topographical information is nice to have, but I don't really need it a whole lot here because the land is so very flat. The only time this is really helpful to me is whenever I'm trying to look for low spots, where maybe like water's going to collect and it's going to create a hidden watering source for something like within the trees there. But most of the time I'm just going to use the normal satellite hybrid map here, okay? If I hit this next button over here, right down the black button there, that is going to take me to my current location. And then lastly, down here at the bottom, this is my wind speed. So this is basically what we got here. So if I look around, it's got the temperature and everything right there. Okay, it shows you what you said Bob's Lagoon at Corinthian Point. So basically what that is that's the weather information, or the station information of where it's getting that weather information. Okay, so it's pretty neat that it tells you that. A 15-day forecast, that's really good. Alright, so I got sunrise and sunset times, which is nice, the barometer, the wind direction, precipitation, all this stuff is pretty cool. Okay. And like I say, I got hourly forecast at the very bottom for my day. Alright, so I can touch the day here and scroll through. Okay. Pretty cool. Alright, let's go back. Alright, so you see whenever I have that selected there, it's going to show me in this area of all these different stations that are reporting the weather. It's going to show me what the wind direction or the wind speed and direction is in that area. So it's kind of nice. If there's not any, it seems though that if there's not any weather stations out there specifically, it's not going to pick up any data that area. But at least you can get somewhere that's kind of close, that you can kind of guesstimate what it's going to be like at that location. Alright. Sometimes this is where I prefer to use a little bit different app like My Radar, which is really nice because it shows the wind speed and direction pretty much everywhere. It's not going to be quite as accurate, but it's going to give you a really good indication of where the wind is blowing and what direction it's going to be blowing, and it's the intensity of the wind too. Alright, so you can see the hunt area I've got here. So basically what this is an outline that I created of this hunting area that I've got right here, okay? If I go to the first tab here, this is my layers. Alright, so this is different ones I have. So if you look under the Texas tab here, these are the ones that pertain to my local area right here. First is the Texas private lands, okay? So if I turn that on, then now I've got private parcel data here, so I can, if I touch that, then it will give me the information about that owner, about the owner of that property. This is really nice for whenever you're trying to find private land to hunt on. So if here again here in Texas, we've got a lot of places that are private land. I think it's about 98% private land here in Texas. So that's kind of nice to be able to look up and see who owns that private land there. Okay, back to the layers here. Now next I got is Texas government land. So basically it lays this shape or this this coloration and shading on what is government owned land here, so you can kind of see this whole area here with that part and this part is all part of the Sam Houston National Forest. Okay, this is Texas government land, Sam Houston National Forest Wildlife Management Area. So that's showing specifically the dotted portion there is the hunting area based off of this. Next over here, the Texas hunt zones. So this isn't really as needed here because some states they do actual hunt zones and things like that for different regions. There's literally about like 3 of them here for Texas. So there's like the south, the east version, the south, and then the north, and then the west. There's like 4 huge sections here. So there's not a lot of information for this. Kind of a useless layer, but it's just because that's the way Texas works, okay? So if you do live in Texas, just note that that's one of the things you are getting. Alright, next is Texas possible access, okay? So if I turn this on, these are basically possible access lands where it's like, they may allow hunting in that area, but it's not like overly stated. It's not like a legal public hunting land. Problem is it says that there is like 2 million different places in Texas here, but I don't see a single bit of it. So I can scan all over Texas here. I don't see a single place that actually shows any markings for this. Okay, so let me go back down here. Yeah, so I don't see any markings for this possible access land, which is odd because if I go here and I hit possible access, I hit more, it says OnX has mapped 2,700,000 acres of possible access lands in Texas, including timber companies, land conservation groups. It says you need to research these rules on private lands before actually going out there and hunting it. But again, I have nothing here. I mean, if I'm scouting and looking for one of these locations, I'm not going to find it by looking on this map. I mean, I guess it would be nice to have something here, maybe like this my content, like to show, show something, let me know that there is access to it. But basically, another layer that I have, no information in. And then lastly, here is the Texas public hunt areas. Okay, so if I turn this one on, again, this is going to shade with this kind of cross-hatching, I don't know what you call that, these red dots. Let me know what is public hunting land. So I'm going to turn this area off because that's kind of, I had the area marked here you know, but but it's not. It's actually occluding my map and making it harder to read. So, again, this is what the public hunting area looks like. If you're scouting, you're just kind of looking where this public hunting land is. This is an okay tool, but I'm not a big fan of those dots on there. But you can also see right here, those lines tells you that that is not access for hunting land. You're actually not allowed to hunt in that area over there. So, okay, it's pretty nice, pretty detailed. Okay, let's turn that off. Real quickly, we're going to go through these other ones. Under Hunt, I've got some other things, roadless areas. So it actually tells you basically, it's kind of a hot spot for areas that are going to be hard for other people to access. So these are going to be areas that are going to be nice, where you're probably going to see untouched wildlife, where they're not used to seeing hunters and such. And that's really good because you can kind of get out there away from the roads and away from where most people are going to hunt, and gives you a little access or information about that access. Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. So this is basically, you tap this, you can see protected lands for the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. It shows public access. You can zoom into the property boundaries to see access points, which is pretty cool. Next, I've got the, if I tap this here, I can see the National Wild Turkey Federation, sorry. This shows stats on over 2,300 members since 1982. So you can see I can tap one of these sub layers, and it gives me records per county, overall bird score, 5-year average. So again, if I'm into turkey hunting, this is a nice way to be able to find more information about the area that I'm in and how that works. Timber cuts. So this is again looking for that timber cut land. Okay, I can turn this on. It shows me where timber cuts are. Again, I don't really see anything marked on the map here. I know some of that's going on up in this area, but I don't really see anything there. Okay. Oh, there's a couple of them here. There we go. There you go. So timber cuts. Compartment 39 Creek Habitat Improvement Project. Okay. So again, this is kind of nice, but I wish it would show up on that possible access map layer, but it does not. I did not see it on there. Okay. Let's see. Alright, this data is the hunt boundary unit boundaries of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It does not include wetland management areas. Okay. Again, it's supposed to be U.S. land. I don't see anything here in Texas in this area, which this is again public hunting land. Okay. Next over here, historic wildfires. So basically it shows you where wildfires have been in this area, when, the year. So if I turn that on, oh, okay, we're currently experiencing troubles with current wildfires layer. Wilderness, I'm not sure what this does. Wilderness areas have a variety of unique rules and regulations. This layer details private, federal, state, tribal wilderness areas, and federal wilderness study areas. Okay. I guess, again, if you're doing a public land area hunt and you don't want to step on or they're doing a study or something like that of wildlife, might be nice. Trails and recs. So you got recreational sites. Okay, this is nice. Again, unfortunately, I turned that on, and this right here is all a recreational site. Right there, that little triangle shape. But there is no information there. Okay, what is this? OnX Recreation Sites contains over 300,000 points of interest, including fishing, exercise, campgrounds, trailheads, Forest Service cabins, ski areas, breweries, okay, and more. All right, and go find a beer while you're out hunting. Okay, interesting. But again, this right here is a campground. It's a recreation area, campground. Okay, so instead of actually shading the map or anything, it just puts these little tiny icons there. Okay, so good to know the way it works. Trails. Okay, you can see there's little trails marked through here. It's kind of nice. So if I turn that on and off, I can see major hunting trails through this area. Again, pretty nice. You know where to stay off of, right? Because if you're hunting and you're finding trails like that, probably means there's a bunch of people through there, or you might see horses, or people on ATVs. You never know. Trail mileages, again, so it marks those trails, and it marks the mileage of those. Again, I'm not seeing this on the trails here. You have to use it with this. Use these two layers together. Nope. Okay, so I'm not seeing any data there for that. And the trail slope. Okay, so it lets you know, which way the trail's going. Obviously, most of this is going to be flat. It's here in Texas. Most of it's flat. Okay, so you see the color changes as I change the slope there. So I'm not going to use these trails and rec very much. Again, I mean, it's kind of like land management, hunting, and everything. But if I were doing like a long hunt, like where I'm hiking out into the, doing a western hunt where I'm hiking out into the wilderness, that could be helpful. Same thing with the roadless areas. Probably won't use the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation or the NWTF. Maybe use the Timber Cuts one. I don't really care about the wildfires there. I mean, usually where I go, there's not a whole lot of wildfires. It would be, the current wildfires would be nice, but apparently there's something wrong with that layer. They're working on fixing it right now. Okay. And then the Texas section here, I'll use the Texas private lands layer, and then maybe the Texas public hunt areas, but that's about it. These other ones don't have a whole lot of useful information for me, personally. Okay, you might again, your experience may vary. Next thing, go to layer library. I can get a few things here. One is the precipitation radar. Okay, shows me a radar. I can move that over there. QDMA, Quality Air Management Association, I believe is what that is. Yep. Okay, so this provide hundreds of maps of counties where chronic wasting disease has been documented. That's kind of nice. Okay, I know it's, again, not here in Texas. We're not really seeing it much, so again, kind of nice to know where that is. But not having a problem with it here. We're fortunate, obviously. So you see a couple of these grayed out here, the Eastmans and the B&C Trophy. Again, those are more, I have to pay that additional subscription for those areas there. Sections, what is sections? Bureau of Land Management, Township Range Section Divisions, sorry. Land Survey Systems, okay, yeah. I don't really care about that. It's not something I would use personally. Prairie dogs, we don't. Okay, prairie dogs layer shows 16,000 prairie dog towns in 12 states. I have to purchase that separately for another $10, so it's another $10 fee on there if you want that. Forest visitor maps, okay, these are kind of like the outdoor maps that I saw on the HuntStand app, where it kind of gives you about recreational information. 140 scanned U.S. Forest Service maps. Okay, let's see if there's anything here. Motor vehicle roads under the trails and rec. Okay. Water, so I can get Great Lakes. I don't really care about the Great Lakes, that's not here in Texas. Really, unless you're anywhere up there. Unless you're on the Great Lakes, it's not a huge importance there, or unless you're fishing in the Great Lakes, I should say. Nautical charts, I don't really care. River stage forecast, this can be kind of helpful. So from the NOAA, it says current forecasted river stages for the next 48 hours with flooding indicators. Okay, this layer is not available for off-grid use. Okay, so you got some stipulations there. Then it goes into all the different state layers. So this is filtered by state. Again, apparently I only have the Texas one because that's what I paid for. And one more layer I wanted to look at was the precipitation radar. Okay. So you can see right now it's not raining or anything on here. Allows you to look at upcoming storms. And again, that's not available for offline use. And that makes sense. You need to be connected to find out where that information is live, right? Okay, so I've got some precipitation over here. I'm guessing that's snow. I'm not really sure what it's showing me there. It's not super detailed either. I am connected to the internet. I'm not offline right now. Okay. Not a super detailed precipitation radar. Okay, here's a good one. Looks like a winter storm or something here. Okay. Again, not super detailed here. And it's not a live radar. It's just a static picture of what the conditions are. I'm guessing like the last radar picture they captured, or the last radar information that was downloaded. So those are the basic map layers here. Let's go off grid here. So let's see. Basically right here, I just changed phones, by the way, so my other one took a dive in some water with a cracked screen, so that didn't go over very well. But anyways, here I got, this is where I can save a new map for offline use. Whenever I'm not connected to the internet or some kind of data source, I can actually see all that map information, okay? So you can see it gives me the option to do 5 miles, 10 miles, or 100 miles. I don't think I'm going to be hunting over 100 miles, so I'm just going to do 5 miles. And that'll actually save space over on your device as well. I can change the map name here if I want to. And I'm going to scroll and get it in the center where I need it, and then hit save. Okay. So basically now anything in that box there, that green box that's drawn, is going to be downloaded and saved here. You can see it doesn't take very long. It saves pretty quickly. And so basically whenever I'm ready to go offline, I can select a map here from this list and then hit go offline. And then it'll allow me to go offline with that map there. So it's going to give me the ability to get a good amount of detail there, which is really nice. This is probably my favorite feature of this whole app, is being able to officially download this like this. I can also do this in Google Maps as well. It's something I've really liked about that. So I can get all the information I need to about that area. For Google Maps, it's obviously all of the street data, so I can do get directions of this area even if I don't have a cell phone signal, again, which is very nice. Jumping over here next is the My Content tab. Alright, so this is basically all the waypoints I've saved and everything. They're not really organized in any sort of fashion. It kind of shows all of my waypoints for all of my saved maps all at once. And it shows you, okay, well, waypoint, track, line, and then area. So again, the area was where I saved that public hunting land there. Okay, I'm going to turn that off so I can actually see through it. So whenever I do like an area download here, it shows me, you know, like the information for that area. Okay. Whenever I do that, the bad thing about it is that it will kind of obscure what I'm looking at, but you know, I can get over that. Again, the line data, I can show my tracks, which is nice. I have just a little tab for that there. Alright, so I can also filter this by what I'm looking at. So you see at the top, filter by on map. Okay, so I can filter by waypoint type, the color of the waypoint. It gives me another way to kind of organize this information, and I can do show content on map only, you know, so I can filter it by this map here. In practice, I've done this a couple times, and it actually had an error once or twice where it would get rid of content that was actually on this map and I wouldn't be able to see it. And maybe I accidentally marked it on the wrong map, I'm not sure, but you can't really separate the areas very well here. In order to change maps, I'll just go back over here and I can select this area, right? And then it kind of goes to the center of that map whenever I do that. Coming back over here, this is where I've got my tools, my markups, and all these things. So I can measure a distance. Okay, it's a tap. So I got a 2-point tap there. I kind of wish this would do it by crosshair, where I could move a crosshair to an exact point and then save a mark, and then move it to the next one and save a mark. It's a little bit more accurate than touching with my finger. So for instance, my finger is about 30 times bigger than that little dot that it placed there, so I can't do it with the greatest accuracy. So if I'm trying to touch a certain spot here, like, so I'm going to try to touch that line there, and I've tried this on both Android and iPhone, so it's not a phone thing. But I can touch here. You can see I was trying to touch the tip of that line there, but obviously I couldn't put it exactly on there. And I mean, that's a pretty good distance there. That's at least about 5 or 6 yards, maybe more. So, you know, I wish it was a little bit more accurate than that. Again, I wish you had a crosshair right in the middle of the screen, and as I panned around, I could put that crosshair exactly on what I want and click add point. That would be really nice. Next over here, I can do a shape area, right? It's the same thing. I can touch, like, as I'm going through this property. Again, again, I'm trying to touch this road here, and I can get it kind of accurate, but again, not super accurate if I'm just touching with my finger, okay? But as you can see, like I did earlier with this whole public hunting lane here, I made a custom shape for it. It will draw the line as you go, and it will add a shaded area in there, and it measures the area of that selected area of the map. Okay, this is a nice feature, but I wish it didn't have it that so darkly shaded there. I wish it was a little bit more transparent, that way I could see through it as well. So that way basically I could have that area marked, I could see the size of that area in acres, but also, you know, I could still map with that layer on. Right now with this shading in there, that blue shading, it makes it hard to see exactly what's going on underneath there. Makes it hard to see any detail anyways. Alright, so a couple new things. Add photo, right? So I can actually create a waypoint, right? And then I can add a photo to it. Okay. I can add waypoint. Again, I can put a spot there just about anywhere I drop it. So this is nice how this kind of works. It puts it in the middle of the screen, and I can touch wherever I want. It drops in a waypoint there. So I'm just going to scroll through here real quick so you can see all the different types of waypoints that you can do, and I'm going to kind of talk about them a little bit in general. There's some nice things here. I do wish it was organized a little bit into type, like, you know, equipment or animals or sightings or something like that to make it a little bit more organized. But yeah, you got location, access, antelope, arrow, which is nice if you missed a shot and you know where your arrow is laying and you don't forget it. ATV, bear, bedding areas, bike, blind, blood, good for blood trail, boat ramp, bobcat, buck, cabin, camp, chukar, cow, elk, coyote, crossing, okay, it's like a river crossing or something, deer feeder, doe, dove, ducks, elk, feeding area, fish, fishing, food plot. This is kind of good for land management. I'll go back to that in just a minute. Food source, like if there's trees, apples in a tree, or you know, there's like natural soybean field or something. That's nice. A gate for access. Gear, glassing area, so if you want to mark where you're glassing from, it's nice. Geese hazard, hiker. Ooh, okay, I guess if you've seen another person on the trail or something, it's good to know where they were seen. I don't know why you'd want to leave that on there. Okay. Hog, horseback, house, jeep, ladder stand, lookout, meat, mineral site. Meat, okay. I guess if you're baiting predators. Moose, mountain goat, mountain lion, mushroom, parking, pinch point, pheasant, photo, quail, rabbit, raccoon, roost tree, rub, Sasquatch. Come on, guys. I guess that's kind of a funny pun there, you know? I don't know. Scat, scrape, shed, antler, sheep, shot, squirrel, tracks, trail, trail cam, trap, tree stand, truck, turkey, turn near, upland, wallow, water source, and wolf. Alright. So I think there's some of those things personally, or, you know, obviously Sasquatch is kind of funny, but some of those things are kind of unnecessary. I mean, there's things that you probably never use, and it could probably, things that could be covered from other areas. And I wish that they had like a custom one that was like a blank marker that you could kind of put whatever you want on there. I'm going to go back here to food plot. Okay, so I'm going to put this, say that this is a food plot. Alright, I'm going to save it. We'll get back to that in a minute on OnX. So there's an advertisement there. Or I guess a quality feedback thing. So notice I touch this, I touch the food plot, and it says waypoint. And again, it's marked as a food plot. Okay. So I can just mark it as a food plot. I can't put really any information in there. Okay, there's a little bit. So once I hit view and edit, I got coordinates, and I can add photos, which is great. Notes, I can add notes to it. I can change the type, change the color, and then share it with somebody. So, you know, if I have somebody, your buddy that I want to share this with, and he has that OnX Hunt, he can look at that and he can view it whenever I share it with him. Okay, and then I can save it and delete it. Alright, that's it. That's not bad. Let's see, next over here. And I can mark my location, which is helpful for if I can, you know, want to show somebody where I'm at right now. I can mark my current location, and then I can share that location with them so they know where we're at. Okay, and last, the tracker. The tracker works pretty well. You can see on the screen right now I've got a track that I did. Alright, so you can see as I scan here, you can see as I walk while I'm tracking, it plants a little like a breadcrumb trail as I go. It measures these GPS points. It doesn't have a very high resolution mark though. Okay, what I mean by that is basically the number of little plots that it points per distance, I guess, per measurement of distance. It's not very much, so it actually is less than what it shows on here. So whenever I did this track, I was actually not walking that straight of a line. That's like a perfectly straight line. And so what I feel like is that it was marking just like every so that it was putting a plot every so far, like every one per meter, or one every few meters or something like that, which basically made it look like a straight line here. It was definitely anything but a straight line. You can see right here where I turned back on myself, but again, not a very high resolution mark there. And that's okay, but if I'm having to track like a wounded animal or something like that, I want to be very specific about where I'm at. If I'm tracking a blood trail, I want to be very specific about where that blood trail went, in case I have to go step back and trace my steps. And so that's pretty much it for the main part of the app here. Now, some of the things I really like about this app, the variations of different track markers is very nice. The ability to go off grid is great. I really like that. One of my big criticisms about the HuntStand app that I reviewed not too long ago was very specifically that I can kind of cache my maps offline by going to that map, zooming in, panning around, and it'll save that information to my device as I look at it, but there's not an actual official go offline map there. If HuntStand would do that, I think it would be honestly the perfect app for not only land management, for offline hunting in the field as well. I like that it has a lot of different map layers that you can turn them on and off. That's kind of nice. But what I dislike about it is, again, I don't really. Some of these layers aren't useful to me here in Texas. Like, it's got the information there, which is, I mean, okay, but realistically, out of these 5 different layers I have for my state that I paid $25 a year for, I'm maybe going to use 2 of them. Okay, and even then, I'm not a big fan of it. Okay, so let's get good transition into things I don't really like about the app, and honestly, there's quite a list of them. So, and these are my personal criticisms. Again, I do use this app. I do like this app. I just think that personally, if I were to choose one of these apps between OnX and HuntStand, I think I would choose HuntStand, and here's the reason why. Okay, so for instance, like the Texas Public Hunting Land Area, I don't like this overlay, right? This dotted kind of grid here. I mean, I like that it gets a little bit finer as I tune in, but I find it kind of obnoxious, like it's in my way. And if something is in my way in there, I'm just not a big fan of it. Okay. Especially if I've got another layer on, it makes it seeing through this very difficult, right? And then you have to go find which layer it is that's in your way. Okay, so for instance, like if I turn this roadless areas on, then it makes that even more, it makes the map a little bit darker, which makes these marks stand out a lot, and I'm not a big fan of this look here. Okay, so just keep that in mind. There we go, that's a little bit better. Okay, again, next, I get these Texas possible access lands. I mean, we looked at that timber company area. Timber companies around here, and supposedly they spotted out over 2 million acres in order to get this information, but I don't see a single bit of that information here in Texas. So I'm not sure what that is. Kind of useless to me. But it's, again, I'm paying for this, so I feel like every layer should be at least somewhat useful to me. So would I pay $25 a year for these 5 things here? I don't know. It's up to you. That's your decision to make. Personally, I would not. You get some of these other ones which are kind of cool too. Timber cuts, current wildfires. Could be useful information. I might use that stuff if I'm going hunting out west. I would use some of these other hunt layers, a little bit more like the roadless areas. Maybe the radar, but the radar wasn't very informative and it actually obscured my map really bad. So I would almost, for the radar view, I'd almost rather just have a better map or a better app. Like, again, I use my radar, which I'll do a review of as well, and how I use that for hunting. But this one's okay. I'm not a huge fan of the tracker app and how it's not very high resolution. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compare two different areas and show you how these tracks work. So again, same thing here. I did that same trail and look at this. So I can see how much more detailed my track is in HuntStand versus OnX. So if I'm again going through and hunting a wounded animal, tracking a blood trail, I would much rather do that in HuntStand than OnX because I'm going to get a higher resolution track, which is very nice. Okay. Second gripe I have is if I'm zoomed out, and if I'm not all the way zoomed in, you can see there's kind of a threshold there where it changes on OnX maps, where it goes from a nice, clear, detailed, high resolution, contrasted view to this kind of fuzzy, looks like there's a blue filter over it or something like that that reduces the detail or something. I don't like that. I go to HuntStand, if I'm here in that zoom resolution, got nice, beautiful contrast images, a lot of detail. I can even zoom in a little bit higher than what the map detail provides, which is great. And then whenever I zoom out, you can see I've still got this nice contrasty view. I don't have, or I'm not relegated to just having all that detail when I'm zoomed in. So you can see there's no change in the map, there's no filter that comes up. And I thought that maybe this was because of the layers that I had active, but even whenever I had all of my layers off, 0, 0, you see I have no layers turned on right now, and still I've kind of got this hazy looking view of the map. I don't like that on OnX. Like, I don't know what's going on there, but I think you need to take that off. That would help a lot. So overall, my opinions on OnX Maps is it is a good mapping system. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a good thing. I think it would have a lot more relevance for if you're doing out west hunting. If you haven't already checked out my HuntStand app review, I really recommend you go over there and do that. That's going to be very helpful in kind of helping you decide what's good for you and what works for you. So if you'd like to check that out, go take a look. There's going to be a link popping up in the corner over there. Take a look at that app review and compare it to this one and tell me what you think. My personal opinion is that for what you have to pay for OnX Hunt to get all of that information, I think it's very expensive. $100 a year is multiple times as expensive as HuntStand for the premium access to all the maps, all the map layers, all the information, all your tracks, all your hunting areas and everything, all that land management detail. It's only $24 a year, not $14 a month or $100 a year. So it's much cheaper, and I think it gives you a lot more information and the ability to filter your information over time. So I can actually set filters in HuntStand where I can say, well, I want to look at just my feeder locations over time, how they've changed. I want to look at just my harvests over time and how that's changed. That is a beautiful thing, especially if you're looking at multiple areas. Very, very good. So tell me what you think. Tell me if you disagree. I'd like to see your comments in the comment section below. Keep it constructive. Like I say, I'm still learning. I have a very limited scope of how I use this. If you want, share in there about how you use the OnX Hunt app and how it benefits you and how you've used it better and everything. And also, tell me if you've never used the HuntStand app and if you've tried it out, if you like that. Do your own little comparison in the comment section. I really encourage that. So also, if you want to ask questions or recommend content, do that down below in the comments. And also like and subscribe if you haven't yet. I like to keep this kind of content coming to you guys. I like to keep new videos coming out whenever I can. Help me justify all the time that I put into it. by, you know, at least give me a little like, give me a subscription so that we can keep this going. So until then, thanks for tuning in, Predators, and we'll see you next time. Always remember to keep defying the odds.